This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Saints Pod. My name is Greg, and as always today joined by my good friend and wonderful co-host Zach. Mate, how are you doing?
Morning. Well, I mean, yeah, it's Transfer Thursday, isn't it? That's why it's best episode of the week usually.
Yeah.
I enjoy all of what we do, but what I mean is that it's a very usually heavy research bit, and that plays into the things I enjoy. Even though you have done kindly all of the research today.
But that makes it even better though, right? Because you get to experience the learning, although you like me, are as stringently followed to the club that I doubt that any of this is new news to you. So
yeah, no, you're right. I am chronically online. That is a nice way of putting that.
But look, episode 482, would you believe it? You're right, Transfer Thursday. So, look, I'll give you the choice, mate. Where do you want to start, outs or ins?
Let's go with outgoings, because there's so much to talk about, right? Like, I don't know if you've got it written down, but the fact that they were talking about how they wanted to get rid of specific members of
it makes my list. Don't worry, we will get to
that. We'll get to that then. Perfect.
Let's start with, as far as I can see and find, the only official outgoing of the week since I last recorded. Young midfielder from the under-21s, Joe O'Brien Whitmarsh, the midfielder, 21 years of age, has joined Northampton Town of League Two on a permanent deal.
Yeah, I saw this.
Which, look, I mean, it's one of those things, right, where he has not been one of the names that has really been able to break in to get minutes in the first team.
Just wants first team football. Like, it's understandable. You don't want to be playing the under-21s when you start getting over the age of 21.
Yeah, very exactly. So it makes sense to go to, obviously, League Two is a really solid starting point.
I don't know if he's the one. There was rumours about that somebody left because of they came. I remember us getting them in from Cork City. It might be the same guy. And then, obviously, was really big there. The idea and hope, I remember even in the first interview, was sort of to get into the first team. So if it is the same lad, I'm not really surprised that he's got to this point. And he's going to get first team football at League Two, arguably. So why not?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good deal for him. It's a permanent deal, so he will, like you say, go on and hopefully be one of these players that does build up and become another one of those academy products. You're right, it was him that we signed from Cork City. Another interesting one to note that I haven't written down was in an interview this week, Moses Cisse saying that his target for this season is first team period, whether that's here or elsewhere. So I guess that's one to keep an eye on in the same kind of regard.
I understand, you're not going to have all of your academy prospects make it into the first team. That's just how, unfortunately, you don't just, that's what the transfer market is for. But it is, I can understand the frustration because obviously they're really happy to obviously get the contracts and get in, and then they kind of expect at some point to kind of make that jump up. And especially where, you're week in, week out playing, and you went to the 21s game and you had a great time, but it's not the same, is it?
Look, when you're that age, the most important thing to you is going to be your development. And particularly, as you say, as you're getting to the top end of that age group that you're playing in, right, under 21s, you're going to be looking to get first team football. And, Cisse's one who we've seen have a couple of appearances in the first team and look close to making it through, although less so recently. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. But like you say, there's only so many first team spots available and not all of the academy lads can take it. So whether that's a loan deal to get him some more experience and some minutes or if he ends up moving away as well, one to keep an eye on. But no, nothing solid, just that one coming out of an interview. Right then, I guess probably the most talked about piece of outward transfer news to come out this week, Taylor Harwood-Bellis. So there's been quite a lot of movement since our last transfer episode. We've touched on some of it in our episodes, but I figured I'd lay it all out and then we'll talk about it. So we reportedly rejected a 17 million bid. Reports that we value him much closer to the 25 or 30 million range. Bearing in mind, I think it was 20 million that we signed him for, right?
Yeah.
So, we're not going to be looking to take a hit on that when he's such an important part of the squad. Which, of course, interestingly, not directly related to this, but there was one of Benfica's rivals came in with a bid supposedly last year for 19 million. So trying to even undercut that. But irrelevant to that, the club rejected it. It was reported that Harwood-Bellis asked to leave the club to go to Benfica. But since then, Benfica have signed centre-back Alessandro Scatti from Parma for 17 million, the same price tag. So that, throws whether the deal for Harwood-Bellis is even still on the table.
Well, they did sell somebody to Newcastle, right?
Yeah. Sky Sports News reported this morning, at time of recording, that Southampton maintain that they do not expect Harwood-Bellis to join Benfica.
Interesting.
So I feel like this could be one of those ones that potentially drags on. It's a rumour that started early enough in the window that it could be on the lips of people, whether it's Benfica or other, clubs of that ilk are interested. Look, we know the quality that Taylor Harwood-Bellis brings to the team. We've talked about it at length.
You have to, from all the stuff that's happened, he really was sort of shown to be the villain of the Spygate saga, on top of Tom Drecken. He was like the villain on the pitch, right? And I would not be surprised from a human level if he just wanted a fresh start elsewhere. Like I can understand that, but also you sign a contract, you're a really important part of the squad. You make your bed, you lie in it, sort of thing.
Yeah,
is somehow how I feel about it.
To his credit, right? He played on Saturday amidst all of this speculation, and he wasn't the centre back that assisted their goal. So,
he did miss a really, really easy chance, but also
he's a centre
striker.
Back,
so I get you. It's cool.
Yeah, and I mean, also he got himself in the position to get that chance, which is
exactly.
And
as I said, this is entirely speculation. I just can understand from a human level why he would potentially want to move past that.
Yeah,
right.
And also, right, like Benfica are a big club. European football. It's an attractive prospect. I don't think
that's always going to be
anyone. I don't think that anyone would have begrudged that move for him had it gone through, or if it does come into play. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But the stance of the club at the moment is expect him to, very specifically phrased as don't expect him to join Benfica, which is not saying they expect him to stay, I suppose, but
well, it depends. If West Ham swoop in for like 35 million or something.
Yeah, you just never know. Be an interesting one to keep an eye on, definitely. Right, next on my list of outbounds, Gavin Bozunu has... The phrasing on this one is interesting. I presume that his agent is trying to leverage this, but Bozunu has been offered to Dynamo Zagreb, the Croatian team, with a decision expected in the coming days. No transfer figure has currently been mentioned, but it has been mentioned that Zagreb are happy with the financial structure of the deal. There's a reported 30% sell-on fee included in the deal, according to Croatian press. There's two websites. There was Vasenji and 24 Sata. The club last season had Livakovic on loan in goal and are keen to keep him on, and have been in negotiations with him since the start of the window to keep him. But it said the club are keen to make a decision in the coming days to solidify who they're going to have in goal for the coming season. So it's an interesting one. A potential move
for the guy a little bit.
Bozunu.
Played for us. I know that he's never been a really popular, mainly due to the many, many mistakes but got
Mm.
up to the Premier League, brought Ramsdale in, never ever really pick up his place since then. Was
Yeah,
put at
look, I
fault a
mean,
lot for the last season. Then he's obviously had his loan spells that didn't work out either. He's, injured for the entirety of the Stoke one, injured for a lot of the one in Belgium as well. Now he's getting touted
yeah.
around to the Croatian league. It's a bit like,
Well, for me, it's a story of, I guess, unfulfilled potential and misfortune, right? Because those
yeah,
injuries have come at times that have definitely cost him, and obviously he's still a young goalkeeper.
yeah, he's still got a
There's
lot of
still
time.
potential in there. Like he can still become really good. I think even at the
I guess what
level
I mean
he's
is I
currently
just feel
at.
bad
Yeah,
that
look,
it
I
didn't
feel
work
like
out for him here.
I feel like even at the level he's currently at, he's probably a really good choice goalkeeper for any mid-table or below championship club. But just obviously that's not what we're trying to be or trying to do. But look, if this move works out, Croatia's a nice place. I'm pretty
It
sure
is.
Zagreb also have European football.
I've been to
So,
Zagreb, really nice, really
yeah.
nice city.
So, um, a chance for him to get through those injury troubles and that poor run of form that he's been on with us and get that fresh start, right? Like it's abundantly clear that his place isn't with us. So hopefully that could be the place that kickstarts it off for him to go on to better things. But yeah,
I will always be thankful that for Dynamo Zagreb because they caused us to have Dejan Lovren, and Dejan Lovren leaving to Liverpool is what allowed us to have Van Dijk. So
mm,
they want to provide a home for Gavin Bozunu, and Baz gets sort of his confidence back, I guess, and can go on to have a good career. Because remember, like we signed him from City, right? Like
yeah,
it's not like a decent academy. It's not like we expected it to not go as well. And he was part of the promotion winning squad. So yeah, but alas, onto
yeah.
maybe
But
different
look,
things.
like I say, Dynamo Zagreb, a Champions League team at the moment. They're in the playoffs to get to the actual group stages of the Champions
There
League.
you go.
So a good step, if not a bad club to go to, if that is where he ends up. So news then on the next part of my list that nobody's wanted to hear, but I am surprised has taken this long. A very generic, it has to be said, sounding rumour. Southampton may have to fight to keep Leo Cienza with unnamed Premier League clubs registering an interest. This,
Mate,
according to freelance journalist
absolute
Charlie Gordon.
Hey, this is. I still really enjoyed Cienza completely mugging off that journo who took a photo of what clearly was like a holiday or something and was like trying to make some of that out of nothing. But it's peak we're talking about it, so it's worked arguably.
Yeah,
All they're trying to do is raise. Like it would be of no surprise to me that some Premier League clubs have looked at him. Put it that way.
yeah.
I don't know
I
whether they would be willing
suspect
to
that
part with
with
the
the
amount of
length
money.
I was going to say, I suspect with the length of time left on his deal with us and how much he is valued by the club, that it probably puts him out of the price range they're going to want to pay. And let's hope that is the case. And then, if we hit our targets and manage to get promoted this season, I feel like he's going to be wanting to prove himself in the Premier League with us rather than with someone else as well. So you'd like to think if we can keep him for the next T minus 12 days, right? Then something like that, then it's looking promising. But look, we've talked before about the image the club is presenting for Leo, right? Giving him the number 7 shirt, making him the face of so much of what the club does. It really feels like a conversation has happened where their current stance is that they expect him to stay and have put all of these things in. So, and whilst I'm sure there is an amount of money that changes that, at least
I
the
just don't.
feeling being that is confidence, right?
I don't see at the moment people, or any Premier League club, willing to pay that yet.
Yeah,
Things might get desperate towards the end of the window. We don't know, but like some of the money that's being moved around and some of the money that's being paid for, you know, I don't think that they're going to get him for cheap, and I think that's the only way that they'd be willing to do it. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
why I think that it's unfounded but not surprising is where I'm
yeah.
at.
No, I completely agree. And look, especially where it's as generic as that. If I were a freelance journalist trying to sell a story, that's the sort of generic thing. Like, yeah, I could believe that Premier League clubs are taking an interest with no actual base in reality. So, fingers crossed, that's all it is. Right, next up, as you alluded to earlier, Alfie House releasing a report yesterday at time of recording that the club are actively looking to offload Ramsdale, Bozunu, Sugawara and Damien Downs, as well as being open to approaches for Bemba and Diaz and Cameron Archer. So, I mean, what do you make of that list?
Interesting that there's no Edozie, considering that he talked about how he wanted to make more of an impact this year, and yet they've signed a player who can kind of replace Leo Cienza and Azaz, which I think further pushes him down the pecking order, unless there's something already wrapped up and we don't know about it. But I'm happy to keep him, but people still keep talking about offloading him, and I thought he did a great job deputising towards the end of the season when he needed to.
Yeah. Well, I can
And
never forget his assist to Carl Larin directly in front of me at West Brom,
there you go.
which pulled black that equaliser, right? So,
and like Bozunu and Ramsdale makes sense. The fact that they're actively looking to offload means that they are pushing for moves for them, right? Sugawara also makes sense because we saw him for 5 minutes of preseason, and I have seen him more in photographs with Matsky than anything that the club has put out. Right? I
yeah,
don't see him being in lineups. He clearly either doesn't want to be here or there are already conversations about him moving. Where that is to, who knows? Wouldn't be surprised about the Bundesliga. Damien Downs makes sense. We've brought in, another striker to kind of be on the backup. We've got Cam Archer. I just don't see where he fits in. And as much as I would love a redemption arc, and him managing to pick up a goal pre-season was good. By the looks of it, it's just that he's not the level they want him to be at. So he is going to have to go out on loan or be moved on permanently. That is going to be a massive struggle. So I imagine it's going to be a loan deal. Keeping Cam Archer makes
yeah.
sense if
Well,
there's
apparently
no one
he's
else who wants
received
him.
interest from MLS clubs, supposedly. So,
Yeah,
kind of makes
because
sense.
there was obviously interest from West Brom, and they ended up going for Jimmy J Morgan instead, and now that's I guess dead in the water. MLS clubs is interesting because I can't remember their season runs slightly differently as well, right?
Yes,
I swear.
it is. Yeah, it's a really strange
So
one, right? I cannot remember it either, but
and then on top of that, you've got Ben Brereton Diaz that is still of interest for Sheffield United and Derby. Last time we spoke about it, and also from like what we've seen of him so far, just doesn't fit the squad. So unless all of a sudden they're going to change his position and kind of like force it, seems a bit weird. Especially
yeah,
considering
it's
he
a
was one of
really
the players I'd
strange one.
expected to be out of the door day one. But clearly he must have done enough during preseason and pressed enough. And obviously the other thing is that he did move to a championship club and he did do well and he did score goals. So regardless of
Yeah,
our own personal opinions and what we've actually seen of him in a Saint shirt, there is a player there. Maybe they just think that he can
yeah.
be unlocked. I
Just
don't know.
need to work. Yeah, we just need to work out how to get that player out of him or fit him into the system. I think that in the cup game when he was playing, I think that he was almost trying to do too much. Like he was dropping so deep to receive the ball, which is just not something we really see Larin do. And Larin being the obvious choice of successful striker in this setup. So I just think he needs to, maybe he's too much in his own head, like he's trying to do too much, and then sometimes you just need something to click for it to kind of fall into place. But if he can, there's potential that there's something to unlock there. It's just that we haven't seen that.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to see how it pans out. But I think that
Yeah.
those two were the ones that were quite surprising. But then again, it's they're open to offers. It's not that they're actively touting them, right? And I think that's
Yeah.
those all
I
being
think
mentioned
that's,
are people that I'd expect to go that way
yeah, for sure. I
if we
think
end up
that
with the two
it's
of them.
it's almost as expected, right? Like, we'd probably expect Brereton Diaz to go, but if he stays, we'll find a way to use him because, like you say, that's potential there. But yeah, look, we know the situation with Ramsdale and Bozunu, made clear by Ramsdale taking minutes in the under-21s last week. Like you say, Sugawara just doesn't seem to be in the mix or in the fold at all, and Damien Downs, yeah, I mean, it's just
He
too
needs to go
too much.
somewhere to rebuild his confidence. As simple as
Yeah,
that.
100%. There's way too much pressure of expectation too quickly to bring him into the first team. It's not fair on him either, right? We talked about that a lot last season, but you can't. We need to have a fast start and start building up points to claw back our already behind position, and that's not an environment where you can put an arm around a player and go, it's all right, you tried for 70 minutes and you got some really good minutes in. Like, it's
Yeah,
not
like
fair on him because that's not
even
how
our
that plays
loan
out.
for Obama, right, is
Yeah,
like a player that's played in the championship last year and also scored some goals, right?
yeah,
Okay, probably not to the level that a lot of people would be wanting, but also it's the fact he has the experience. Damien Downs' experience of the championship is the 20 so minutes he came on last season before going
mm,
back on loan to the Bundesliga and having an absolute awful time. So yeah, you're right. I think it's just I would love to see a redemption arc. I'd love him to come on. I just don't think that will happen so long as the goal is still promotion. If season expectations change, managements change, I don't like to think about that, but you've got to be realistic about these kind of things. Maybe we'll see him if he doesn't go out on loan, but if not, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see him more around the under 21s.
yeah, absolutely. Like we say, potential there to do stuff. Right, moving on then to my ins list. Look, as expected, not a long ins list, but but some news. So, according to Sky Sports Italy, Saints are trying to convince Peter Ratkov to join permanently this summer. Red Star have now also joined the race. Peter was keen to stay at Lazio, but is apparently coming to terms that his future lies away from the club. From my research, the Serbian is centre forward with fairly similar profile to Cole Larin. He's 6'4", big physical striker. He struggled to make an impact at the Italian club since signing in January for £11 million, but in the first half of the season for RB Salzburg, he had 9 goals and 2 assists in 20-something appearances. So there's also interest from, like we said, Red Star and Dynamo Moscow, who reportedly made a bid of 13 million. It seems unlikely that Saints would match 13 million for a fourth striker, but there is hope
Yeah,
that
but
maybe the allure of English football could narrow that down.
yeah, Moscow
Yeah.
currently, lots of sanctions. It's difficult. Um,
Mm.
Difficulty playing. And I just think of one of the only players of note that I remember recently that went to Russia to play was Quincy Promes, who's now in prison because we were
Mm.
once linked with him like years ago. And that's, not to be disrespectful, but it's like one of those things where would you rather play in a place where you have the opportunity just to kind of build a profile or Moscow where, quite frankly, you're not, I just don't, there's not a lot of times that the Premier League or the Championship or the Liga or anywhere like that look to Russia to buy a player, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we've seen the whole Spurtian thing. That's just been ongoing for years. It was ongoing for us. It was Leeds last season instead. And then obviously their president ultimately doesn't want to let him go. And you don't want to end up trapped in a contract in a place that you don't really enjoy. So I don't really see that. I think that maybe we'll see lightning strike twice in the fact that we bring a striker that's struggling and bring him in and see how he does. And yeah, but also we've just spent a load of money. We just brought in a new striker. They didn't say they wanted to get two.
Mm.
I don't think that's key. Right? I think if we
Yeah,
sell
no,
somebody else, maybe.
for me, this seems like someone who we registered an interest in probably around the same time that we were looking to bring in Mubama, and that has resurfaced because now Red Star have joined that fray. Whether it comes to anything or not, it seems unlikely. Like you say, doubt we'll be bringing in another player in that position. But I guess potentially if we see an outward movement for Cameron Archer or Brereton Diaz, then maybe it is seen as worthwhile. But I don't think we're going to be hitting that 13 million tag. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on. It really comes down to it. Also worth mentioning that he wanted to stay at Lazio and make a proper go of it, and is only now sort of coming to the realization that maybe that isn't on the cards. So one to keep an eye on, but not one that I would put too much credence in ending up our way, even if the cards fall that way. Next up on the list, according to Danny Hall of the Sheffield Star, Burnley have joined the race to sign Anel Medazic, who is available for a reported £4 million. Sheffield United not trying to sign their former player. He is the centre-back we have been linked with, who is likely seen as a potential Harwood-Bellis replacement, or maybe a Stevens replacement. Who knows, right? 4 million is probably around the price range that we would be going for. It's also probably a low enough price that maybe even if we see, one of our other centre-back options move on, that we would bring him in as like a third choice. I don't know. We've not heard a lot from Wood or Quasi in this window either way.
No, but I don't really understand why, because Wood played well. Like, unless there's something going on there transfer-wise, I'm a bit confused as to why we're suddenly needing like a fifth centre-back on top of the centre-backs we currently have. If say the whole Harwood-Bellis goes, makes sense. But and I know that Stevens has had a bad game, and maybe we could probably do with somebody, a bit more, a bit younger. But he's also the club captain, so I'd be surprised if he doesn't get on the pitch a lot. But yeah, it just kind of seems like, okay, well, what's wrong with Wood and Quasi? If Quasi isn't going to play, you may as well get a loan or whatever. But then if we're just going to have, I don't want to end up in a situation where we've got like when we had about 30 goalkeepers at once, right? Luckily, Alex McCarthy, has gone to dust now. By that I mean playing at Leicester. But it just seems a bit. You have Nathan Wood, he played well. I don't understand, why we're trying to get another one. If Harwood-Bellis goes, yeah, sure.
Yeah. No, it definitely feels like one of these ones that we've got lined up in the chain, as opposed to actively seeking out. I think it's just we've got our eyes on him and know approximately what the value that we'd be looking to pay for him is, so that if we were to have something happen, we've got that we can quickly pull the trigger on, because as these deals get later and later on in the window, time to replace is also something that you need to think about. So yeah, just another one to keep an eye on. And again, another one where it's mostly coming into the news because someone else has also joined the race, right? As opposed to much else. We've been linked with him for weeks now, and that situation hasn't changed. So one to keep an eye on. And a name coming into the fray as a touted Shea Charles replacement is Watford's Imran Loza, whose name I've definitely butchered, so apologies for that. But he is one player under consideration as Southampton are in the market for a midfielder. He is a 27-year-old player for Watford, plays in midfield, and there's not a lot out there on it other than he is of interest.
He captains Watford as well. He's played for Morocco at the national level, international level as well.
There was some talk on Sky Sports before the game on Saturday about some unrest with their captain, and I wasn't listening to it enough to track whether it was him in particular they were talking about. But there is, some stuff going on at the club with the managerial changes that they've brought into play. Unsurprisingly, it's caused some unrest, although playing for Watford, surely a level of unrest that you're used to at this point. But
I think, he's reiterated that he wants to leave because he was left out a game against us. He's basically just keeps saying he wants to get transferred, which is one of the reasons why. Which is why us and West Ham are apparently looking to go for him.
Yeah, so look, that makes sense. It's logical. The level of experience that was slot into the midfield. But yeah, but look, that's it from my in list. So only those three
I
players, and
mean,
nothing really solid
it's
there.
it's more ins than we've had previously. There you go.
Yeah,
One
and
of them
as
is
tends to
actually in a
be the
position we'll
way.
probably be looking for.
Yeah, and as is the way, and it tends to be with Saints, we don't really actually tend to hear about these ins until they're in the door.
Done.
So yeah, it's not a surprise to not have that. But look, still like fairly positive, promising stuff for me for these transfer episodes.
Yeah,
It's not feeling like panic stations or like a mass leaving. If anything, not enough people leaving is
yeah.
actually the vibe, right?
People not leaving, and it's like, do you want to be here? Are you going to play for us? No. Okay. Well, why are you here? It's like no one wants me. I'm like, oh, that's it's a problem, isn't it? So
Yeah,
yeah, we just have to see.
but that's it. But look, lots of movement happening the last couple of weeks of the window as we head towards the close. But good stuff. Well, that's it, mate. That's the end of Transfer Thursday. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you for joining us. Let us know your thoughts. Any of these likely to come to fruition? Any that you're concerned about? Or any that you've heard of that didn't make my list? Let me know. Let us know on the socials, in the comments. We are Daily Saints Pod absolutely everywhere. X, Blue Sky, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. Hit us up and let us know. We love hearing from you. And if you're on YouTube, why not give us a subscribe? We're really close to some nice milestones on YouTube that could be really good. A huge shout out to all of our viewers on YouTube. Those numbers are looking really amazing. It blows us away every day. So shout out to you. We'll be back tomorrow, looking forward to our first home game of the season coming up this weekend. But until then, everyone, have a wonderful day, and we will see you then.
This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.